Fast food is leaving America, and it's happening fast. In just the last few years, over 3,000 Subways, 400 Burger Kings, and hundreds of McDonald's and Starbucks locations have shut down across the US. And in 2025, even more are disappearing. Entire chains are pulling out of cities, closing down stores, and moving their business overseas. Not because they're failing, but because they see more profit outside the US. If your favorite fast food spot closed recently, you're not alone. In this video, we're counting down 10 major food chains that are leaving the US in 2025 and showing you exactly where they're going next. You're watching American Discoveries, the channel where we explore what's changing across the country, from fast food to forgotten towns. So if you care about where America is heading, make sure to subscribe and stay updated. Number 10, Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box is closing doors in 2025, and it's happening faster than many expected. It started with every location in Kansas City shutting down. Now, more stores in the South and Midwest are following. But here's the thing. This isn't a total collapse. It's a planned retreat. The company is cutting off markets that no longer bring in steady profits. Owners say it's harder than ever to keep a Jack in the Box running. They blame sky-high rent, staffing shortages, and inflation. Add in new local business taxes, and many say staying open just isn't worth it anymore. Some cities require expensive equipment upgrades or stricter regulations, and smaller franchisees can't keep up. Instead of fighting the uphill battle, the company is looking elsewhere. Jack in the Box is expanding into parts of Asia and the Middle East, where demand is growing and operating costs are more predictable. These regions also offer friendlier trade deals and fewer legal hurdles. So while American cities are losing their late-night tacos and curly fries, new customers overseas are just discovering them. And the US? Well, it's being left behind, one zip code at a time. Number 9, Subway. Subway is still one of the biggest names in fast food, but in the US, it's shrinking fast. Over the past 5 years, more than 3,000 Subway locations have shut down, and that number keeps growing in 2025. What's going on? A mix of high costs, tough competition, and a changing market. Franchise owners say it's getting harder to survive in the US. They're paying more for ingredients, more in taxes, and more in wages. Many are stuck in long leases, while customer foot traffic keeps dropping. Even simple things, like a hike in electricity bills or new packaging rules, are cutting into profits. To make matters worse, many of Subway's competitors are offering fresher food or faster service. In response, Subway has started rebranding, but the changes haven't been enough to save weak locations. So, now the focus is shifting. Instead of trying to fix everything in the US, Subway is quietly expanding into the Middle East and Asia, where sandwich-style meals are growing in popularity. These markets also offer lower business costs and fewer regulations. Subway isn't gone, but in many American towns, it's disappearing, and it may not be coming back anytime soon. Number 8, Dunkin'. Dunkin' may claim America runs on Dunkin', but in 2025, more parts of the country are running out of it. Hundreds of Dunkin' locations have shut down in the past 2 years, especially across the Midwest, the West Coast, and the southern states. For some towns, it's not just one store, it's all of them gone. So why is Dunkin' closing its doors? The problem isn't just one thing. First, many of the stores were inside gas stations or convenience chains that have shut down or changed ownership. Second, rising real estate costs and operating expenses have pushed smaller franchisees to give up. Dunkin' has strict renovation standards, and if owners can't afford the upgrades, they're forced to walk away. But there's also a strategy shift at play. Dunkin' is doubling down on its strongholds, mainly in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, where brand loyalty is still high and profits are steady. Everywhere else, it's cleanup season. Rather than keep struggling markets alive, Dunkin' is looking overseas, particularly the Middle East and Southeast Asia, where interest in coffee culture is exploding. While American towns are losing their morning ritual, new customers abroad are just getting their first sip. Number 7, KFC. KFC used to be everywhere in the US, small towns, big cities, highways. But now in 2025, it's pulling back fast. Over the past decade, more than 1,000 US KFC restaurants have closed, and dozens more are shutting down this year alone. But this isn't just about struggling sales. It's about where the brand sees its future. KFC's parent company is shifting focus to global growth. And that means putting less money into the US and more into places like India, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. And yes, even Canada is getting more attention. While American locations are closing, KFC is actively opening stores just across the border, where rents are cheaper, labor is more stable, and policies are more franchise-friendly. Meanwhile, U.S. franchisees are dealing with a perfect storm: inflation, higher wages, complex tax rules, and tariffs on imported ingredients. The cost of doing business here just keeps going up. For many longtime fans, it's sad to see that red and white bucket disappear from their neighborhoods. But for KFC, it's a business decision. Go where growth is easier, cheaper, and faster. And that's no longer the U.S. Number 6. Hardee's. Hardee's has been a Southern staple for years, but now even this long-standing chain is hitting the brakes. In 2025, dozens of Hardee's restaurants have quietly shut down, and more are expected to follow. Some towns are losing the only Hardee's they had, and it's not just a local problem. It's part of a bigger shift. Many franchise owners say they simply can't afford to operate anymore. Sky-high rent, higher utility bills, and strict labor laws are pushing margins to the breaking point. Hardee's also faces rising import costs on certain ingredients, thanks to new tariffs and trade policies that make everyday items more expensive. But here's where it gets interesting. Hardee's is expanding overseas, especially in Canada, the Middle East, and Asia. The company is actively investing in areas with simpler tax systems, easier permitting, and a growing appetite for Western fast food. Back in the US, older Hardee's buildings are becoming too expensive to renovate. Many just get shut down, rather than fixed. So while international customers are lining up for fresh launches, American towns are watching familiar signs disappear, one breakfast biscuit at a time. Number 5. Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen isn't just a fast food spot. In many small towns, it's a summer tradition. But that tradition is melting fast in 2025. Dozens of Dairy Queen locations have closed this year alone, especially in Midwestern and Southern states.
Restaurants were closing, and now a new lawsuit reveals the possible reason why. The suit claims the closures were related to a dispute over royalty fees and transfer payments between Dairy Queen and the franchisee who owns them. According to court documents, the locations were told by corporate the franchises would be shuttered because they were not remodeled. As a result, the franchise owner tried to sell.
The shutdowns haven't made headlines, but they're quietly piling up, and it's hitting local communities hard. So, what's behind the closures? A mix of rising rent, shrinking foot traffic, and new business costs that small franchisees can't keep up with. Many locations were run by families for decades, but now they're being asked to invest in expensive equipment upgrades and meet corporate remodeling rules. For many, it's just not worth the price. Even worse, local governments have raised property taxes and added new regulations that affect small business operations, making it harder for these low-margin stores to stay profitable. Dairy Queen isn't disappearing completely. It's actually growing in parts of Asia and the Middle East, where demand for Western treats is on the rise. But in America, where it once stood as a hometown favorite, many communities are watching their last DQ cone swirl into history. Number 4. Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut was once the go-to spot for sit-down pizza nights with family. But in 2025, that classic red roof is disappearing fast. In the last 2 years alone, hundreds of locations have closed across the U.S., especially in suburban and rural areas. What's behind the decline? A major shift in how and where people eat. Pizza Hut's dine-in model is expensive to maintain. With rising rent, property taxes, and utility costs, many locations just aren't profitable anymore. The chain has tried to pivot to delivery and carry-out, but it's struggling to keep up with faster, cheaper rivals like Domino's and Little Caesars. On top of that, franchisees say new government fees and local zoning rules are making operations harder, not easier. And when you add in a tight labor market and expensive remodel requirements, many owners are calling it quits. While the US locations shrink, Pizza Hut is growing fast in countries across Asia and the Middle East, where delivery-first models are booming and regulations are lighter. So while families overseas are discovering Pizza Hut for the first time, many in the US are quietly saying goodbye to the place where they once celebrated birthdays and Friday nights. Number 3. Starbucks. Even Starbucks, the giant of modern coffee culture, is pulling back in the US. In 2024 and 2025, the company shut down more than 400 locations, many of them in major cities like New York, Seattle, and San Francisco. But this isn't just about slow sales. It's about Starbucks changing its entire strategy, and the US market is no longer the focus. One of the biggest reasons? Workplace changes. Since the pandemic, millions of Americans now work from home, and that means means fewer people are stopping by Starbucks during their daily commute. Locations that once served steady office crowds are now half empty by lunchtime. But there's more. Starbucks has faced a wave of unionization efforts, leading to legal battles, higher labor costs, and stricter compliance rules. In some cities, it's become easier and cheaper for the company to just shut stores down instead of fighting to keep them open. Meanwhile, Starbucks is going all in on drive-through only spots, pickup counters, and mobile app orders, especially in places like Asia, where digital ordering dominates. The cozy cafe vibe that once defined the brand is fading in the US. So, if your neighborhood Starbucks is gone, you're not alone. The brand isn't dying, it's just moving on. Number 2, Popeyes. Popeyes has built a cult following over the years, especially after that viral chicken sandwich. But in 2025, even Popeyes is scaling back in the US. While the brand still has major buzz, it's quietly closing dozens of locations, especially in the Midwest and West Coast. And the reason isn't just food, it's friction with the system. Franchise owners say operating in some US cities has become too complicated. From rising taxes and permit delays to strict labor laws and zoning headaches, opening or maintaining a store has become a costly puzzle. In many areas, profit margins have shrunk so much that owners are walking away. At the same time, Popeyes is seeing explosive growth overseas, especially in Asia and the Middle East, where fried chicken is booming and business rules are easier to navigate. International investors are lining up to bring the brand in, while some US owners are cashing out or relocating. Popeyes isn't leaving the US completely, but it's clear the brand is shifting its attention and its resources toward markets where it can grow faster, cheaper, and with fewer roadblocks. Number 1, McDonald's. Yes, even McDonald's, the biggest name in fast food, is closing locations across America in 2025. The past few years, the company has shut down hundreds of traditional restaurants, and this year, the trend is speeding up. You may still see the golden arches everywhere, but they're not all sticking around. So, why is McDonald's cutting back? A few reasons, and they're bigger than just slow sales. First, operating costs in the US have gone through the roof. From high rent and property taxes to labor shortages, insurance hikes, and government-mandated upgrades, many franchisees say it's just too expensive to keep older stores running. Second, McDonald's is changing its entire model. Instead of large dine-in spaces, it's now pushing for digital-first stores, small locations with touchscreen kiosks, drive-through only lanes, and less staff. These are cheaper to run and faster to build, but it means many classic locations are being replaced or removed altogether. Meanwhile, McDonald's is pouring money into international markets, especially in places like Canada, India, and the Middle East, where real estate is cheaper and demand is still rising. So yes, McDonald's is still the king. But in 2025, it's a very different kind of king. One that's quietly stepping away from parts of the US. And there you have it. 10 big fast food brands that are packing up, shutting down, or shifting away from the US. It's not just about burgers and fries. It's about rising costs, changing laws, and companies chasing profit wherever they can find it. Some of these names helped shape American life for decades, but now they're vanishing from the neighborhoods they once dominated. So if your favorite spot looks a little empty lately, now you know why. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to American Discoveries. I cover what's changing, from big states to small towns. Hit that like button, turn on notifications, and stay one step ahead of the trends that matter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.